So, Jordan, you were talking about...
In short, don't be cheap. Pay money.
Yeah. So you were talking about how Albo has become... We were talking about if Albo should be changed or if he should not, the controversial question. And you were saying he's become like a Kim Beazley kind of figure.
I think that the Murdoch press thinks that he's a Kim Beazley-like figure, and I think that Anthony Albanese has a much better strategy than people give him credit for. He's been extremely consistent. These are just the talking points, I suppose. But he's been extremely consistent ever since he got elected, which was to have a small target strategy, which is great because it means that the press have less to hammer him on. Mm-hmm. He's also not taking into account, I guess, Joel Fitzgibbon's point, which is that if the Labor Party remained silent about climate change in the last election, I think he's right. I reckon they could have squeezed out a win because it's really detested in rural Australia.
Makes sense. So Bill Shorten could have been the Prime Minister if he just had remained quiet about climate change.
Or let Labor MPs and candidates run a different campaign, but they were saying be uniform about the message, and that almost cost him his seat, and he almost lost it to One Nation as a result.
Really?
But he needed to keep highlighting the point that you will be retrained. This will be like a slow transition. Your job is secure. You will have better jobs. He needed to say all those kinds of things, and he really wasn't given the scope to say that kind of stuff. But when it comes to Albanese, I think that he's really I think out of anyone, all Labor politicians behind closed doors will admit that they understand the propaganda model, but I think that he works within it, and he works within it much better than anybody else. He has accrued very deep friendships with a lot of the journalists in the Canberra Press Gallery, and so I know for a fact that they detest writing negative things about him. That is going to help a lot because he has won one of the psychological battles that need to be won. They'll still get hammered when it comes to the election, but I think that the difference is what's happening is...
Albo is just one, just to interject. Sorry, keep
Labor
going.
leader now
Because of hiccuping Miss Love's little last-minute endorsement. Look at the power that you have. All of these celebrities in Hollywood saying, I'm backing Biden. No one gives a shit. And then you go it gets Miss Love's seal of approval. 80%.
It's true, because Eddie won the poll last time.
Call me Lady Gaga. Anyway, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. Continue. You were saying that they understand the propaganda model and they understand what they have to do to play the game.
Yeah, and so I think that he's understood that Labor's best chance is if there is no focus on the Labor Party. Bill Shorten was trying to go for the exact opposite route because it was the style of the time. It was 2016, Bernie Sanders, Jeremy Corbyn were around, and he thought, okay, you can just do a class war. Obviously, that gives the press so much ammunition to attack you, and they will want to attack you because you're sitting there saying, I'm going to make you pay taxes. So they're going to go, no, and throw everything they can at you, which is exactly what happened in 2019. Yeah. But Anthony Albanese, you listen to him, he just says the most unoffensive points that everybody can agree with when he talks about Labor's policies. When he says things like, what we need is to have more investment in the regions. And that's going to be good for everyone. What he's trying to do is copy the Hawke strategy of saying, we are going to allow you to be the oligarchy of Australia. We can just manage things better. That's his way of getting in.
I think it's a good
plan.
plan.
I think that that's much better because what he is actually doing is he's appealing to the oligarchy of Australia. That's how you win. You might not like that, but that is the reality. You can't win against the oligarchy.
Okay, so that's...
Every single time. Think about it. Whitlam, the oligarchy approved of him and then very quickly disapproved of him. Hawke Keating, they were just sitting there just being
England, when you said the oligarchy? Is that what you mean?
What are you talking about?
Is
that some kind of brand of canned fish over there?
I didn't know what you meant.
Means
olive oil garfish.
I thought
it just means the Australian business oligarchy, the establishment that call the shots behind the scenes.
So just
your
vague
Murdoch,
veil of your imagination. That's what you're
saying.
My conspiracy theory, the fact that Gina Reinhardt has a lot of money and uses it to influence politics.
But I've got a question about that. So okay, I understand that solves it from Labor's end, but don't you think that the oligarchy needs an incentive for them to move away from Scott Morrison, because Scott Morrison's offering that and a bit more?
Yeah, but I think that what And yes, I think that Scott Morrison is obviously going to win the next election, and it'll be purely to do with COVID. But what Anthony Albanese is constantly highlighting over and over again, if he talks about climate change, he is constantly reinforcing in all of his speeches. Everybody from Woodside Petroleum down to all the power generators to farmers, they all want a consistent policy on energy. And we're just talking like he was talking about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.